Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. We have yet another jam-packed show for you all as the LA Rams split their last two games. They unfortunately took a tough loss to the Arizona Cardinals this past Sunday, but they beat the Seattle Seahawks. How big of a victory was that? And the Chargers came through on primetime as they defeated the Raiders, moving to 3-1. But can they defeat the Cleveland Browns? Also, we have Modern Day defeating St.John Bosco in some high school football action. How did the Monarchs do it? And what happened with Bosco? And UCLA football kind of took a little bit of a tumble, but that is all good because it's still a long season for the Bruins, but that kind of punched a hole in their Pac-12 title hopes. And then the Dodgers won a thriller this past Wednesday against the St. Louis Cardinals as they'll be taking on the San Francisco Giants in the NLDS. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And what is up, what is happening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you very much for tuning to me on this beautiful Friday afternoon. And honestly, it feels good to be back here with another episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us get on into the Southern California sports action. But first of all, we have a word from our sponsors. As the Southern California Warriors semi-pro football team is the first sponsor for IE Sports Radio. This past week, the Warriors were on a bye as they are 3-3 heading into the final 4 weeks of the season. And if I'm not mistaken, the Warriors take on the Moreno Valley Mercury tomorrow at Fallbrook High School at Fallbrook Stadium, which will be a 6 p.m. start time unless noted. Once again, the SoCal Warriors were coming off of a big win over the Las Vegas Saints, and that was a huge win for them because they previously lost to the Saints, and then they wound up rebounding and winning that one at Fallbrook High School. So, good job, SoCal Warriors. Anyway, the world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players pay to play in hopes of so many different outcomes, whether it's playing to get filmed to try out for professional teams, big-time colleges, or playing to just stay in shape. No matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. The SoCal Warriors are on a quest to give players second chances and give them the second opportunities that they have been looking for, and they have been doing so since 2017. Whether in Southern California or anywhere in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport. You may get that second chance you have been waiting for as an athlete. You can follow the Southern California Warriors on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, and you can follow them on Instagram at Southern California_Warriors. Also, you can follow them on Twitter. You obviously can follow them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors. You can also follow them on Facebook, even though most people don't use that hardly, by typing in the word Southern, then California, and then Warriors. Then the second sponsor for IE Sports Radio is Background Check International Businesses. Are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Fremen take care of that for you. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him help make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for the use of any crime such as identity theft or other illegal activity. Now, BCI is unfortunately not on Twitter or Instagram, but they are on Facebook by typing in the word background, then check, then international, then adding a little dash, and then putting the word BCI. So that's how you can follow them. And you can also follow them on their website, www.bcint.com. As we thank BCI and the SoCal Warriors for being the official sponsors for IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I greatly appreciate everyone tuning in, whether it's on Twitter Spaces or whether it's on Spreaker. As we have some people in the chat room, we have Andrew Hagenbaugh listening on Twitter Spaces, and he popped in. He says, "Hey, Teran, have a great show and go Browns." I'll be talking about those brownies, all right. And then Gina G pops in. She says, "Have a great show, Teran." And she says, she didn't root for the Rams, but I had Woods and Henderson in my lineup, and they did me some good. Well, good for you. Good for your fantasy football lineup. And then Larry says, SoCal. And he says, go Dodgers and not Giants, Gina. I appreciate you, Larry B, and Gina, for popping into the chat room. And I appreciate those that are listening on Twitter Spaces. Now let's get into the Southern California sports action. So we'll start with the... Actually, no. Let's start a whole lot differently. Let's start with something that I missed, unfortunately, last week, and I forgot to talk about this. Let's talk about some IndyCar action, as I actually failed to mention that last week, and boy howdy, I was close to giving myself Dum-Dum of the Week for that. So, but the Long Beach IndyCar finale was a couple Sundays ago. It wasn't this past Sunday, but the following Sunday. Unfortunately, I didn't talk about this on my last episode, and I feel really horrible for doing so, as Colton Herta won the Long Beach IndyCar finale, and Alex Palou clinched the regular season championship, or he claimed the season championship. So unfortunately, Colton Herta didn't win the championship, but he won the IndyCar finale. As what I heard is that Colton Herta went to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles after the game, which was kind of funny, but also pretty common, because that's what Long Beach is kind of known for, having Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and then also having Naples Rib Company, and then having an In-N-Out near its campus. Not like near its campus, but you know what I mean. So, good job to Colton Herta for winning the Long Beach IndyCar race, and then also good job to Alex Palou for claiming the IndyCar championship. So salute to those two, and honestly, it is great to see that the world of IndyCar is in my backyard of Southern California. So, Larry B and Gina and Andrew are having fun in the Spreaker chat room. They're saying beat LA, and then Larry says beat San Francisco, and then Charger says beat LA. And Andrew's saying beat LA because the Browns take on the Chargers this week. So, anyway. Back to now we'll circle the wagons and go to some football action. So, start with some Rams action this past Sunday. So, we'll go in chronological order, starting with the Rams against the Cardinals. Honestly, the Rams looked so bad against the Cardinals. I don't know why they looked so flat. Like, Stafford just wasn't his Stafford self from when they played the Bucs. As Matt Stafford just did not have his best game. Sure, he had a few good plays, but it just wasn't like, it didn't have that pop to it. And that was kind of disappointing, because coming off of a big win over the Bucs it's kind of surprising. And then also, it was the first loss to the Cardinals in 9 tries. And it was also the first loss to the Cardinals under the watchful eye of Sean McVay. So the Rams lost 37-20, but the Rams theoretically got a late score touchdown. So theoretically, they lost 37-13. So, regardless, it wasn't the prettiest win it wasn't a pretty game. It was a rough day at the office for the Rams. And honestly, but the Cardinals are good. I really think the Cardinals are somewhat legit. Yes, it's still early in the season, and they still got a long ways to go, but I think they have some promise to them. Kyler Murray was phenomenal. They even got, I think his name was Max Arnold, involved when it came to the tight end game. The only disappointing, and the scary thing about the Cardinals was that they didn't even get DeAndre Hopkins too much involved. So, yeah, it's kind of strange. I mean, it was pretty bad when it came to that game between the Cardinals and the Rams. But I will say this about the Rams. I think they'll be just fine. I don't think we should start submitting the Cardinals to the Super Bowl, but I think the Rams are just fine, as I'll be talking about them a little bit later. But I think that loss is kind of humbling. And honestly, it was to be expected. Eventually, the streak was about to be broken when it came to the Cardinals and the Rams. Like, if Sean McVay and the Rams continued to defeat the Cardinals, then I think the Cardinals should have probably been relegated. But I digress. So good job to the Cardinals. Tough one for the Rams as they moved on to Thursday night's game, which was played yesterday. I'll be talking about that in just a short moment. Let's just hit the pause button on the Rams, and let's jump on over to the Chargers. So the Chargers defeated the Las Vegas Raiders 28-14 at SoFi Stadium, and I was rather surprised that this wasn't a one-score game. Like, the first half, it was just all Chargers. They led 21-0 as Justin Herbert threw 3 passing touchdowns. He found Donald Parham, who I'm happy he got his first touchdown after week 2, where his touchdown got wiped away because of a holding penalty or a legal shift. And then Jared Cook got his first touchdown as a Charger, and he got it against his former team, the Las Vegas Raiders, even though the Raiders were in Oakland back then, but I digress. And then Eckler also caught a receiving touchdown from Justin Herbert, and he also had a rushing touchdown. And honestly, I think this was kind of a solid game for the Chargers. It was a little bit refreshing to see the Chargers not in a one-score game, but the Chargers kind of made it a little closer than it needed to be, because honestly, I thought the Chargers did not play well in the second half. First and foremost, they allowed the Raiders to score 2 consecutive touchdowns. The first one going to Hunter Renfrow, which was no surprise, and then the second one going to Darren Waller, which eventually Darren Waller was going to get his. And the Chargers did all they could to slow down both Renfrow and Darren Waller. One of my buddies, I was actually invited to a little, I wouldn't call it a podcast, but it was like a post-game video show with my good buddy Brennan and a Raiders fan named Ricardo. So I did not think the Chargers played their best, but the Raiders fan that I was supposedly debating against said that the Raiders don't have a true wide receiver. I don't necessarily think that is true. I mean, Hunter Renfrow is starting to come into his own, and then Henry Ruggs is still trying to get off the ground. He's only in his second year, so we can't expect too much from Ruggs. But it's starting to look like that the Raiders might have whiffed on picking Ruggs instead of CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy, but we'll see. Maybe Ruggs will start to get more involved in the passing game. There's still plenty of time for Ruggs to not be called a bust. So, and then obviously Darren Waller is a receiver, but he's a tight end. He's not really a wide receiver. So all in all for the Chargers, they were resilient as heck. I will also say this, that they didn't miss any kicks, but that's irrelevant. Like, the kicking game was not the problem. I just think that the Chargers kind of let up on the gas a little bit in that third quarter. And I was actually a little afraid that the Chargers were going to allow the Raiders to come back, but honestly, they were able to buckle down in the fourth quarter. They got some good chunk yardage, and they did benefit from Daniel Carlson missing a 51 or 2-yard field goal. I'm surprised that Carlson missed that field goal, just because Carlson has been making his field goals left and right. So it's rather fascinating to see that happening for the Raiders and not the Chargers. And the thing about the Chargers was that they were running a lot of interesting plays. Like, for example, they ran a fake punt with Ty Long to Trayvon Campbell, and unfortunately that got broken up by Hunter Renfrow, ironically enough. Normally it's supposed to be Renfrow catching passes and Campbell making the defensive stops, but the roles were reversed because the Chargers tried to run a fake punt. But unfortunately it didn't work. And then also the Chargers were running a lot of reverse plays, kind of like something you would see from like the New England Patriots or the Kansas City Chiefs. Those also didn't necessarily work, but well. And then also the coup de grace when it came to the last play on the last official play from the Chargers is that instead of kicking a 51-yard field goal with Tristan Vizcaino actually punted it and actually pinned the Raiders quite well. So the Chargers were running all sorts of crazy plays, and they also went for it on like 4th and 2, and fortunately the Chargers have been getting it, and they have been doing really well on 4th downs. It just goes to show you that Brandon Staley really trusts in Justin Herbert, and it really is impressive that a coach and a second-year quarterback has that big bond. A first-year coach and a second-year quarterback has that big bond, mind you. And I really think the Chargers might have actually hit a home run when it came to hiring Brandon Staley. Now, it's still very early in the season. There are only 4 games into this season, and honestly, it's still like plenty early, and the Chargers have some challenging games as this week they play the Cleveland Browns, which I'll be previewing a little later. And then also they have the Ravens next week, and then they get their bye. And then also some unfortunate news for the Chargers. They had to put Kenneth Murray on injured reserve, and he won't be back until after the bye week at earliest. So we'll see. Chat room is going off here as we're seeing a lot of Larry said beat LA, and he says go back to San Diego. And I'm presuming he's talking about the Chargers. So har to you, Larry. And he says take the Clippers with you. And then Andrew's saying San Diego was loyal and whatnot. So yes. And now they're talking about Ohio in the group in the chat room. So har. And then Gina's obviously mentioning the Giants and whatnot. And Andrew says, here we go, Brownies. Here we go, woof, woof. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about those little Brownies. But for right now, that's going to do it for week number 4. Let's jump to week 5, where the Rams and the Seahawks had the honor of kicking off week number 5 with the Thursday night football game as the Rams traveled up to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. It was rather an interesting first half, as neither team couldn't really get any offense flowing. And I give it up to both teams, because the Seahawks defense isn't really the best, but they kind of stepped up, and then the Rams also stepped up defensively. Jalen Ramsey was flying all over the place when it came to the defense, and then Aaron Donald was getting pressure on Russell Wilson. It was only 7-3 at halftime as the Seahawks led the Rams, but then the Rams started to come alive as on the first drive of the second half, the Rams were able to force the Seahawks to punt, and then eventually the Rams were able to drive down the field and eventually get Tyler Higbee involved. And Tyler Higbee actually got hurt early in the first half, which it was kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then they also got the run game involved as Darrell Henderson and Sony Michel added touchdowns. An unfortunate thing happened to the Seahawks in the third quarter was that Aaron Donald's hand, he was trying to bat the ball down, actually hit Russell Wilson's middle finger, and eventually Wilson could not finish the rest of the game because he couldn't grip the ball well or throw the ball well, so Wilson unfortunately exited. It wasn't intentional. Like, Aaron Donald was trying to bat the ball down, and then unfortunately he caught the middle finger of Russell Wilson. So the backup quarterback for Russell Wilson was none other than Geno Smith. Yes, the Geno Smith. The former Jet and Giant and Charger. That Geno Smith. And Geno Smith actually performed well after he got thrown into the fire. And I won't say he did bad, but like when he first came in, he was so crisp. He found DK Metcalf for a touchdown. And honestly, he didn't look bad starting out. But eventually, as time went on, the Rams were eventually caught on to Geno Smith and whatnot. So for the Rams, they were able to make the key stops when it mattered most, and eventually they were up 6 in like the later stages of the fourth quarter, and then Geno Smith threw a pick to Nick Scott, as that pretty much sealed the deal because he intercepted Smith in Seahawks territory. So eventually Matt Gay kicked I think it was a late 40-yard field goal. Like, I think it was like 48, 49-yard field goal to put the Rams up 9, and eventually the Rams were able to get the win, which was a huge win for them, beating Russell Wilson on Thursday Night Football. I heard Russell Wilson only lost one Thursday Night Football game prior to yesterday, so the fact that the Rams were able to go on the road and get the win against the 12s was quite phenomenal. So the Rams move to 4-1 as they'll get a much, much, much needed rest until they head up to MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Giants next Sunday. And the Rams kind of just need the rest just because they do have a few guys banged up. Matt Stafford also hurt one of his fingers, so that was kind of bad, but I wouldn't say it was bad, but he was able to continue the game, unlike poor Russell Wilson, which I feel bad for Russell Wilson just because that O-line is a complete mess. I keep trying to tell everybody that the Seahawks O-line is so bad. They need to revamp that. Like, take after the Chargers, Seahawks. Come on now. So that's going to do it for the Rams. It was an impressive victory because they had to dig their way out of a 7-3 halftime hole, and they only held the Seahawks to 10 points, which isn't bad. I mean, granted, those points did come from after Russell Wilson got knocked out, but still rather impressive. Like, and who knows, maybe Geno Smith can actually do good things for the Seahawks. Like, you never know. Like, anything is possible, so we'll see what happens with the Seahawks going forward, as the Seahawks fell to 2-3 as they play the Pittsburgh Steelers next Sunday. So, reminiscence of Super Bowl, 40? Regardless, that's not the point. So anyway, back to the Chargers. So the Chargers will stay at SoFi to take on the Cleveland Browns this upcoming Sunday. And I will be talking with my boy Andrew Hagenbaugh about the Chargers versus the Browns on the State of Ohio Sports Show at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern. And I'm excited to be talking some Browns-Chargers with Andrew Hagenbaugh, as he's a diehard Browns fan, and the Browns are 3-1 as well, as we'll see which team moves to 4-1. Gina says the Seahawks don't look too good, and she says the Niners should have beaten them. Yeah, I was surprised. I know Jimmy G got knocked out. Well, not like knocked out, but he got hurt, and eventually Trey Lance had to take over. But the Niners have some good options, but I guess Jamal Adams did kind of a good number on George Kittle when it came to defending him. So it is what it is. So, as for back to the Chargers are 3-1 as they take on the Browns. Now, I originally had this game as, I think I had this one as a loss, if I'm not mistaken, when I saw the Chargers' schedule at first. Just because the Browns are a very good team. The Chargers are starting to come into their own under Brandon Staley. The win over the Raiders also helped them. And then also beating the Chiefs helped them. The Chargers are a few questionable calls against the Cowboys away from being 4-0. Which would have been a good thing, but also would have been a bad thing just because it could have given the Chargers a big head. But that's besides the point. The point is that the Chargers are playing the Browns, who also could be 4-0 had it not been for a botched punt or a botched snap when it came to them punting. And then also the Chiefs making another Chief comeback. But it's tough to really predict this match. Like, the Chargers and the Browns are nearly in the same boat. They both are very talented. They have young quarterbacks, and they have they have some solid defenses. The Chargers' defense is solid. I think the Browns' defense is better than the Chargers' defense, in my opinion, just because they have Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, who practiced today, and many others. And I'm certain Rashawn Slater is going to be busy when it comes to possibly covering for Justin Herbert, as he's most likely going to be guarding Myles Garrett, and Garrett is a freaking monster. As Gina says, it looks like Trey Lance is starting on Sunday for the Niners. Yeah, I hope Trey Lance and the Niners can beat the Cardinals. But back to the Chargers, it's going to be tough to stop the Browns' run defense, especially without Kenneth Murray and Justin Jones. The good news for the Chargers is that they did get back Chris Harris Jr., and then Derwin James is looking like himself again, looking like himself before he got hurt. I forgot to mention Derwin James had an interception on Derek Carr this past week, so it was really good to see Derwin James picking off Carr, and because as most of us know, Derwin James had a season-ending torn ACL injury from last season, and it was tough for poor Derwin. But for him to get that interception and close the door on the Raiders was absolutely amazing. So, good job to Derwin James. He'll definitely be an X factor. Joey Bosa is going to be an X factor for the Chargers, because I think a couple of the Browns' starting tackles, I think their starting tackle and their backup tackle is out, possibly. I'm not entirely certain. But for the Browns, also another thing to make note of is that Baker Mayfield is nursing a torn, I don't think it's torn, I think it's like partially torn labrum, or a sprained labrum, or shoulder injury. Either way, Baker isn't letting this injury affect him. Like, the fact that he's still playing is absolutely phenomenal. And he could probably use a bye week as well, just because it's been brutal when it comes to him playing with that injury. So we'll see if the Chargers can pull off the win. And I remember Larry B one time saying that the Chargers can be an ace card, 1 or 11. And that definitely is the case. The Washington game was back and forth, especially when Ryan Fitzpatrick got hurt. But the Chargers were able to come up big. Against the Cowboys, the Chargers were 1. Against the Chiefs, the Chargers were 11. And then against the Raiders, the Chargers were 11. So now the Browns, on the other hand, are a wild card. I think the Browns can be anything they want, and sometimes they can come up big against big-time opponents, and then sometimes they could come close to beating said opponents, but just fall a little short. I think the Browns are going to give the Chargers a big challenge, and Baker Mayfield is 0-1 against the Chargers, as Baker and the Browns played the Chargers in 2018, and the Chargers were able to come away with a big-time victory. But that was Baker's rookie year. We can't, knock Baker for that performance. And looking back at the highlights, there were a lot of former Chargers that, stole the show. First of all, we had Phillip Rivers at quarterback. Second of all, we had Tyrell Williams, who eventually went to the Raiders, and unfortunately, the poor guy had injuries decimate him. And then now Tyrell Williams is on the Lions. Poor guy. Also, another former Charger was Melvin Gordon, who had himself a big game back when the Chargers played the Browns in 2018. And then Desmond King also had 2 interceptions on Baker Mayfield back in 2018. It was so... seeing all those players just really brought back nostalgia. And I really, really wish that those players had stayed. Obviously, Tyrell Williams... The Chargers needed to pay Keenan Allen, and then eventually Mike Williams got into the fold. So it was tough to see Tyrell Williams walk out the door, but it was what it was. And then the whole Melvin Gordon thing could have been handled a little bit better, as we're getting a lot of banter in the chat room on Spreaker, as Gina and Larry are just going back and forth with beating everybody. As Gina's saying, beat SoCal and then beat all LA teams. Yeah, I see you in the chat room, Gina. I see you sandbagging on all the LA teams, on all the SoCal. We'll get into that in a little bit. But for the Chargers versus the Browns, this is so tough to pick. The Browns are... I'm not even going to knock the Browns. They are such a good team. The Chargers are also a good team, and this is another big test for the Chargers, because I've been saying this since day one. The Chargers have the toughest 6-game stretch. Washington with that tough defense, the Cowboys with that very talented offense and Dak Prescott, the Chiefs being played at Arrowhead, the Raiders being vastly improved and it being a rivalry game, Cleveland being a very good team, and then Baltimore next week, as Baltimore is looking like they're starting to get back on track. As, I don't know. I really don't know. I really can't pick a winner with this one. I hate to do this, and Andrew, forgive me for doing this. I gotta pick the Chargers. I think the Chargers are on a roll here, and if they can get to 4-1 by the time they reach Baltimore, heck, even 4-2 by the time they reach the bye, they'll be in a good situation, because they are because the remainder of their schedule isn't as bad as it was previously. Yes, the Broncos are still up there, but they haven't really beaten anybody noteworthy. And then they play the Steelers, and they might not have Teddy Bridgewater. And then they've got other opponents, such as the Eagles, which are struggling with Jalen Hurts. They have the Giants, which are basically Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. They have the Raiders, but that's not till Week 18, and I never really gave a clear-cut answer on if the Raiders will win or if the Chargers will win, because one or both of those teams might be resting their starters, so we'll see. And then the Chargers also play the Vikings, which they're up and down, but it looks like the Vikings are trending upward, especially since they're going to be playing the Lions, and the Lions are not going to beat the Vikings. Let's get that out of the way. But for the Chargers and Browns, I'm going to say the Chargers beat the Browns 28-24. I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to come down to possibly who makes the fewest mistakes and who has the ball last. And this might come down to whether or not Justin Herbert and Brandon Staley can manage the clock to their ability, or it also could come down to a late score. I feel it's going to be like a 7-point win for the Chargers, possibly. Some people are telling me the Chargers will handle the Browns. Some people are saying the Browns will handle the Chargers. It's such a tough game to predict, man. I gotta go with the Chargers, though. I really think the Chargers have what it takes. I would not be shocked if the Browns won, though, because the Browns are a legit team. They're like kind of the near complete package. All right, so that's enough for NFL action. Let's jump on over to NCAA action because I'm seeing lots of NCAA banter. I'm seeing beat Oregon, beat Ohio, beat Stanford, beat UCLA, beat Australia. So let's go to some NCAA football now. So San Diego State had the week off last week because they're San Diego State and they're cool like that. And actually, San Diego State is surprisingly ranked when it comes to the top 25 polls, as they are currently ranked number 25. Yay! Oh, we don't care. I'm kidding. Of course we care that San Diego State is ranked. San Diego State will take on New Mexico. I should expect a win from San Diego State. I don't think they're having too many offensive ineptitudes as of right now. They beat Towson 48-21 last week, and they haven't really scored under 28 points. Like, they've put points on the board. The problem with San Diego State is they got to keep the lead and keep it to a T, and they have to start strong. I'm sure they will against New Mexico. So that's it. I know I kind of had to breeze through San Diego State pretty quick, but there's nothing to really talk about with San Diego State. They're undefeated. I think they're really gelling well. I hope they can win the Mountain West Conference, but it's going to get tougher with San Jose State being in there, the reigning champion. Then they play Boise State. Then they play Nevada. And then they also can't sleep on Fresno State as well. So we'll see if Fresno State can maybe pull the upset against San Diego State. But Fresno State also lost to Hawaii, so this is becoming a very fun Mountain West Conference, and I think this might be the most underrated conference that's not a Power 5. We'll see, though. But this is the San Diego State's conference opener, so we'll see if the Aztecs can come through. But I'm sure they will. It's at San Diego State, and I'm certain they will pull out the win. Oh, I'm sorry, Dignity Health Sports Park. It's in Carson. My apologies. I forgot they got rid of Qualcomm because of San Diego. Ugh. All right, now let's jump to USC. So USC rebounded nicely after that embarrassing loss to Oregon State, defeating Colorado 37-14. Like I said on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show Twitter account, many things in this life are guaranteed. Dogs barking, cats meowing, birds chirping, waves crashing, the sky being blue for the most part, clouds being white for the most part, and more importantly, USC defeating Colorado in football. Too bad we can't get that in men's basketball. Anyway, so USC will head back to Southern California to take on Utah. Looking at the Pac-12 South, it is a complete merry-go-round as ASU and Utah lead the standings. Utah has only played one Pac-12 game as they defeated Washington State last week. Well, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, as Utah had a bye, so we also kind of have to factor in the fact that they both, Utah had a week off, and we'll see if rust can actually be rest, or vice versa. Anyway, for USC-Utah, I think USC pulls out the win. They cannot, but USC has to start strong, and they can't keep kicking their fans in the shin. Because surprisingly, USC is 1-2 at home, which I thought USC was better in the Coliseum. Instead, they're better on the road. Regardless, I got USC beating Utah, let's say 35-21. I hope USC could prove me right, because if not, I will cry. USC is actually a 3-point favorite over Utah, so maybe I'm not giving Utah enough credit, but I think the Trojans pull out the victory. Which is more than I could say for UCLA, which is perfect segue to our next topic. UCLA. UCLA, I'm disappointed. You lost to Arizona State 42-23. Now, Arizona State is a good team. I will acknowledge that. But UCLA got shut out in the second half. How do you let that happen? You put up 23 points in the first half, and you put up 20 in the second quarter altogether, and yet you were unable to score in the second half? Bruh, that's embarrassing. I mean, no offense to DTR and the offense, but that's not good, man. Like, UCLA is way better than that when it comes to their offense. You can't be getting shut out when it comes to that whole sort of thing, especially in a Pac-12 game. Like Pac-12 games are really crucial. So all in all, for UCLA, it was downright bad. They also allowed 18 points in the second half. The Arizona State-UCLA game almost looked like the Rams versus the Cardinals, except the Rams kind of got a garbage time touchdown. It was rather worrisome for UCLA. I thought UCLA was turning the corner, but unfortunately they fell to Arizona State. But Arizona State is vastly underrated. Jaden Daniels is a dude. He is actually a Southern California native. He hails from San Bernardino, a.k.a. San Bernardino, and he went to Cajon High School. So Jaden Daniels performed really well. He had 2 passing touchdowns for 286 yards, which was quite impressive. He also added 45 yards on the ground, which was also good. I hope he does pursue the NFL. I think he could be a great addition, as well as DTR. Like, DTR also did well. Like, the more I see DTR play, the more I think he can become a great quarterback in the NFL. He's certainly not going to be like Josh Rosen. Poor Josh Rosen. I'm sorry. Anyway, but UCLA has to get their you-know-what together for their next game. Their next game is against Arizona. That should be a win. Like, if UCLA is not beating Arizona by 17 or more, like if UCLA does not cover because they are 16-point favorites, we riot. We riot, and I will lose more faith in UCLA. Like, if UCLA has to go down the route of the Chargers, a.k.a. play a one-score game, I really think that UCLA could be in trouble. Like, they're already in trouble when it comes to the Pac-12 South, but honestly, I think I think UCLA is much better than what Arizona State dictated. Like, the fact that they beat Stanford at Stanford is also quite amazing as well, yet they couldn't beat Arizona State. And also, they beat LSU, yet they couldn't beat Fresno State, but then Fresno State lost to Hawaii, but Hawaii lost to UCLA. You get what I mean? Time paradox. So, UCLA has to win by 3 scores. Like, if you're looking to make money, put money on UCLA and don't take the points from Arizona. Like, there was something on Twitter that I found out that from ESPN Arizona saying, will Arizona win another game this season? Or ESPN Tucson. Honestly, I hate to say this for Arizona, but I don't think they will. Arizona is shaping up for the future, though. They are getting some great commits from Southern California, a.k.a. Servite. But one thing I did see that really boggled my mind was they're actually going to host tryouts. You're hosting tryouts, and you're a 4-year university in a Power 5 conference. Come on, Arizona. Be better. Oh, my goodness. I couldn't believe what I saw. That's enough for the FBS Southern California college football schools. Let's jump to the FCS schools when it comes to Southern California. As San Diego, yes, the Toreros, they finally got their first win of the season. They defeated St. Thomas of Minnesota 27-24. Good job, Toreros. Okay, it's not that impressive. Like, come on. But at least you didn't punch your 100 fans in the face. Anyway, so the Toreros will hit the road to Butler to take on the Butler Bulldogs, and that's a 9 a.m. Pacific start time. 9 a.m. Pacific time start time. This will be held in Indianapolis. Shout out to my boy Justin Lahr, High Octane Entertainment. Check that out every Saturday at 7 a.m. Pacific Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Anyway, for San Diego, they finally got their first win of the season. They're 1-4 on the season, as they still have plenty of time to turn their season around, but I think it's a little too late. No offense to the Toreros, of course. Like, they're trying, but it's just not working out for them. And then Cal Poly plays this weekend as they take on Montana State. If I'm not mistaken, Montana State defeated San Diego 52-10, and yes, they did. So for Cal Poly, they are a whopping 2-3. 2-3. So actually, they're 1-4. 1-4. My apologies. I'm looking at the Weber State Cal Poly game right. I'm looking at the Weber State Cal Poly game wrong, but Cal Poly has not won since week 0, so that's a little concerning for the Mustangs. But we'll see if Cal Poly can get the win over Montana State. It looks doubtful, and then you look at next week, they take on UC Davis. That's going to be even more brutal. So that's pretty much going to do it for college football action. Now let's jump to some high school football. So high school football, last week we had the game of the year, a.k.a. Mater Dei versus St.John Bosco. And it looks like Twitter Spaces, unfortunately, went bye-bye for me because, yeah, unfortunately I exited out of Twitter and I'm a dum-dum. But, oh well. Okay, but back to Mater Dei St. John Bosco. So this was a very good game. This game was great as advertised, as the Monarchs and the Braves had themselves quite the battle. The Braves hailing from Bellflower, a.k.a. Los Angeles County, while Mater Dei hailing from Santa Ana, a.k.a. Orange County, took on one another. It was 21-21 at the half, as actually Bosco led for quite a bit, and then Mater Dei came back with the stellar gameplay of sophomore quarterback Elijah Brown. This kid is going to be going places. I know Mater Dei is kind of the quarterback factory, but Elijah Brown, only being a sophomore and not having played 10 games in his career, is looking really phenomenal. Like, it's looking very promising, and I would not be surprised if he got some Pac-12 offers. So, good job for Mater Dei, and the Mater Dei defense really stepped up as they shut out St. John Bosco, which is kind of scary, if you ask me. Like, first and foremost, Bosco never really gets shut out in the second half. Second of all, Mater Dei's defense is also for real. And then third and foremost, I don't know what the heck happened with Bosco in that second half. But one thing I can tell you all is that Mater Dei is for real. This was the number 3 team in the nation. I thought it was number 4 team in the nation, but what can you do? If I said number 4 instead of number 3 or vice versa, I apologize. But one thing is certain is that Mater Dei is the number 1 team in the nation, and they are just not going anywhere, man. Like, this Mater Dei team is so freaking good, man. I pray for the team that has to face Mater Dei. So, the only challenge that Mater Dei will be getting in the Trinity League is most likely is in 2 weeks when they play Servite. Now, Servite has been just as phenomenal. They are currently undefeated, and they are just a well-oiled machine. Like, they have basically their bases loaded all over the place, and they just beat Santa Margarita yesterday. So I'm really looking forward to that Servite Mater Dei game. Like, Servite Mater Dei was the true OG rivalry before St. John Bosco was a thing. And nothing against St. John Bosco. Bosco is a freaking good team, and they still will be. But back in the day, Mater Dei and Servite was the true Orange County football rivalry, especially in the Trinity League. Regardless, I'm looking forward to that, but that's not for another 2 more weeks. I'll probably be previewing that game. We'll see, but don't sleep on Servite. Servite is a legit good team, and who knows? Maybe they could actually close the gap on St. John Bosco. Who knows? Still is unknown. So that is going to do it for some high school football action. And I know I'm already at 50 minutes, so let's take ourselves a quick little break. Unfortunately, Twitter Spaces did end. But let's take ourselves a quick break. When we return, we'll have some MLS talk about the recap of El Trafico. We'll also have some recapping of some Dodgers action, as the Dodgers will be taking on the San Francisco Giants in the NLDS. And then don't forget, we have the Dum Dum of the Week award. So you are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
Everybody, this is Teran Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Back with segment number 2 of Set Point. Thank you all for tuning in on this beautiful Friday afternoon. You can check out all of those amazing shows on IE Sports Radio, and you can check this show out on several different streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube, Podcast Addict. The list goes on and on. You can check out all of our amazing shows such as Gloves Off, which is Marcus Lowe's great show, Set Point, which is my volleyball show, and Reppin' to NorCal Sports, which is Gina G's show. And Gina G is just popping off in the chat room. She's saying Dodgers suck, and she says, let's go Giants, and she says Game 1 is tonight. And you know what? Since she is popping off in the chat room, and she wants some some Giants-Dodgers action, let's talk about some MLB. First and foremost, we gotta give the send-off to the Angels and the Padres, which both didn't qualify for the playoffs. The Padres was disappointing in the aspect of they wound up underachieving, and they just went the opposite direction. They wound up just blowing it altogether, and their manager is out as a result, so tough luck for the Padres. And then the Angels were just an absolute train wreck. They looked promising to start the season, but they eventually reverted back to their Angel ways, and they wound up getting bad help from their bullpen and whatnot. So, as for the Dodgers, they are coming off of a big wildcard win over the St. Louis Cardinals, courtesy of the heroics of Mr. Chris Taylor, as he hit a two-run walk-off home run to cool off the Cardinals 3-1 and advance to the NLDS, where they will take on the said San Francisco Giants. And Game 1 is tonight at Candlestick Park. It is at 6:37 p.m. And boy howdy, I am looking forward to this. I don't like the playoff structure. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I hate the playoff structure and how both these teams have to meet in the NLDS and not the NLCS, because I think that would be much better, in my opinion. So the Giants did defeat the Dodgers in the regular season series 10-9, but some of those games, there was one game that the Dodgers should have won, but unfortunately did not. So the Dodgers will try to defeat the Giants early on. I want to say the Dodgers are on a tear when it comes to their most recent games. I feel they have won a whopping 8 in a row ever since they lost to the Cardinals randomly. And I'm sorry if I'm touching my mic accidentally. There was just something on my mic that I need to get off of. Anyway, so the Dodgers have won 8 in a row as they take on the Giants in San Francisco. This one is going to be a nail-biter. Now, obviously, some people are saying the Giants are underdogs. Some people are saying the Dodgers are underdog. The Dodgers are underdogs, but I don't think there's such thing as an underdog when it comes to this series. Like, there's only one win separating these two. And these two teams are the premier teams in not only the National League, but they are the premier teams in the MLB. I hate how one team has to lose. I wish we could get the Dodgers as the 2 seed and the Giants as the 1 seed. Unfortunately, that's how it is. It was basically that way last year when the Padres and the Padres and the Dodgers finished atop the National League standings. Gina says they may actually play at Oracle Park, but I love hearing Candlestick. It reminds me of good memories. I did not know that. I did not know they were playing at Oracle Park, which is saddening. Yeah, they are playing at Oracle Park. My apologies. No, Gina says they actually play at Oracle Park. So, yeah, that's my bad. I keep getting Oracle Park and Candlestick Park mixed up. But I forgot that the Giants moved moved from Candlestick to Oracle. My apologies, y'all. I'm still trying to get used to this Northern California stuff. So, for me, when it comes to the Dodgers and Giants, this is going to be an interesting, a very fascinating matchup. And Gina says Candlestick has been demolished. Oops. I will still forever call it Candlestick, but I digress. So, Oracle Park. My apologies. So, Oracle Park is where the Giants and the Dodgers will be playing one another in the series, not Candlestick, Oracle Park. So, for the Dodgers, they're going to have their work cut out for them, and they got to learn to actually score as many runs at will. And then also they have to have their pitching on point. Yes, they will not have Clayton Kershaw for the entire postseason, which really sucks. But I think the Dodgers are able to, stay with certain teams. Like, if their pitching is wheeling and dealing like it was against the Cardinals, then I think the Dodgers will be fine. But that does not discredit the Giants in any way, shape, or form. Like, the Giants are a phenomenal team. And I knew they were going to give the Dodgers fits. Like, I knew the Giants could be the Dodgers' kryptonite, but I didn't think they'd win 107 games. I don't think anyone predicted that. Anyway, Walker Buehler will be the starting pitcher for the Dodgers tonight, while Logan Webb will be the starting pitcher for the Giants. Walker Buehler has more times than not had success over the Giants, except for that last meeting where Walker Buehler laid a big fat egg. I hope Walker Buehler does have a better outing. I think maybe he got his bad game out of the way against the Giants the last go-around, so I hope this time around in the postseason, the Dodgers and Walker Buehler can come up big. And then Game 2 is also on Saturday, which is also going to be played at 6:37. Julio Urias is going to be pitching, while Kevin Gossman is pitching for the Giants. I am okay with Julio Urias pitching. I'm just not as confident as Buehler. And then Game 3 is on Monday. It's going to be held at Dodger Stadium, and it looks like there are no pitchers announced, which kind of sucks, but well. And then Game 4 and Game 5 are on Tuesday, and then Game 5, if necessary, is on Thursday. So by the time Dodgers-Giants ends, there will be a new episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show recapping that best-of-5 series between both California teams. Boy, howdy, I hate to see one of these teams get eliminated. I personally hate to see the Dodgers or the Giants get eliminated. I really can't tell who will get the win. I really can't tell who will win each game. I think tonight I got the Dodgers winning, and then on Saturday I have the Giants winning, and then Monday, Tuesday, I have the Dodgers closing out at Dodger Stadium, a.k.a. the Chavez Ravine. So, I got the Dodgers winning in 4. I think Dodgers win in 4. I'm sorry, Gina, but I think the Dodgers will be able to grind it out, and they know they want to repeat as World Series champions. And they do have a long road to the World Series, as they had to start from the wild card round despite winning 106 games. Then they have to go through Big Brother, that is the Giants. Then they have to take on either the winner of the whatchamacallit, the Braves and Brewers series, which, believe it or not, the Dodgers actually swept the Brewers in their regular series finale. As Gina says, she has the Giants winning in 4. I think that I wouldn't blame you if you said Giants in 4, just because I don't think it's going to go 5. I think whichever team gets like a leg on the other team will have the advantage. Like, Game 1 is going to be crucial, and then Game 2 is basically going to be the bounce back game. It's not about how you start, in my opinion, it's how you finish. I just don't think it's going to be like the Padres-Dodgers NLDS series where the Padres wound up getting swept by the Dodgers. So, I really hope the Dodgers can come up big. It's going to be tough just because the Giants are a freaking good team. There's no dancing around that, but I really think the Dodgers can take down the Giants. They're right there. With the exception of a few games, I think the Dodgers were kind of right there in terms of several games. So we'll see if the Dodgers can come up big or if the Giants can end the season. The Dodgers are the only Southern California team in the MLB playoffs, as once again the Angels straight up underachieved, and then the Padres imploded. And the same can actually be said for the whatchamacallits, the Giants. They're the only Northern California team in the MLB playoffs, as the Oakland A's failed to make the postseason because they unfortunately couldn't hold on. They wound up underachieving and imploding as they finished third in the AL West. Now, I did predict that the Oakland A's would finish third in the AL West, but unfortunately, I had the Angels finishing second in the AL West. Ugh, that's a bummer. And then the Astros wound up winning the AL West as they are currently playing the Chicago White Sox. But we don't care about the White Sox or the Asterisks, even though I will give you all a score report. The White Sox lead the Astros 4-2. So this is in Game 2, by the way. Game 1, we had the Astros defeating the White Sox 6-1, and then we also had the Tampa Bay Rays defeating the Boston Red Sox 5-0. So that's that for all the MLB scores, and that's going to do it for the MLB portion of the show. Gina says, should be the most exciting first series. I agree. That's facts right there. I think that is going to be the most exciting series. Now let's jump on into some MLS action. So this past Sunday, we had El Trafico with the LA Galaxy and LAFC at Dignity Health Sports Park. And early on, LAFC got on the board first, courtesy of Mamadou Fall, which gave LAFC a 1-0 lead. But then 8 minutes after that, Samuel Grandsir was able to get the goal for the Galaxy to tie the game up at 1-1. That was the only bit of scoring in this El Trafico matchup, as this game ended up a 1-1 draw, which really made me mad. It's like, now by the time the Galaxy play another game or another match, the Galaxy will have not won a game in over 2 months, meaning they are going to get the same treatment as LAFC did about a month ago. So, congratulations, LA Galaxy. You played yourself. Meanwhile, for LAFC, the next time they play, they will not have won a match until 1 month ago when they defeated Austin 2-1. So, Gina, if you're still listening, LAFC takes on the San Jose Quakes on Saturday, October 16th. So, that's good stuff right there. It looks like LAFC and the LA Galaxy have themselves like a little bit of a break until their next match. The Galaxy's next match is also on Saturday against the Portland Timbers, and then both teams have a Wednesday game on the 20th where the Galaxy take on the Houston Dynamo at Houston, while LAFC will hit the road to Dallas to take on Dallas. So, all in all, it's not. For me, I think the Galaxy kind of need this break because I do hear they have some guys banged up, and then they kind of need to get their butts in gear just because they're trending backward, and it's very concerning for me. Just because the Galaxy were looking really good early on, and then now they're trending in the wrong direction. So the Galaxy better turn it around soon, otherwise that strong start to the season could wind up being underachieving. The Galaxy have 6 matches remaining, and some of their opponents are rather brutal. 4 of their last 6 opponents are brutal. Starting with the Portland Timbers, who have won 4 in a row, and then they play Houston and Dallas, which aren't necessarily the best teams in the Western Conference, as Dallas is 11th in the West, while Houston is 12th. And then the last 3 games for the Galaxy are very brutal. 2 of those 3 games are on the road, as the Galaxy hit the road to the land of barbecue and the Chiefs, to take on Sporting KC. And then in their second-to-last game of the season, well, the regular season, the Galaxy head up to the Rainy City, a.k.a. Seattle. So that's going to be another crucial game right there. It's another tough game. And then closing out the regular season, the Galaxy head back to Dignity Health Sports Park to take on Minnesota. Minnesota is also vying for a playoff spot. As looking at the table, the Galaxy are still ranked 6th in the Western Conference. They have 39 points. They are just barely holding off Minnesota, as Minnesota United takes on Colorado on Sunday. I hate to say this, but I think Colorado needs to win that one. I don't want to see Colorado win that one, but we'll see if Minnesota does get the win or does get any points of some sort. Gina says, "Let's go Quakes, har har," and then she also says, October 16th is the first day of the San Jose Sharks season, and she says, "So much sports, I love it." Yeah, and I'll be talking about some NHL action, and soon I'll be talking about some NBA as well. So Southern California sports is going to be getting put in full swing, as we got the NFL going on, then we'll have the NBA, and we'll have maybe some more Dodgers baseball if they can get past the Giants this week. And then we've got NCAA football going on, and yeah, the list goes on and on. It's a great time for sports. It looks like we're getting the purge when it comes to sports. Anyway, as for LAFC, they are currently resting in 9th place in the Western Conference. They have 33 points. Oh, I'm sorry, they have 34 points. I'm dyslexic. I'm kidding. Nearsighted. LAFC is 4 points behind Minnesota and 3 points behind Vancouver. There's still plenty of time for LAFC to make one last playoff push, but they're going to have to play a lot more perfect. It's hard to believe that LAFC has not won a match in over a month, but it's also even more hard to believe that the Galaxy have not won a match in over 2 months. So both the LA teams have to get it together in terms of the MLS. So for the Galaxy, it's rather embarrassing that they were ranked as high as the 3 seed, and now they've fallen all the way down to the 6 seed. So, and also the fact that they lost to Austin FC was rather embarrassing, especially on national television. Like, you can't lose to them on national TV. It's an expansion team. Like, what are you doing? Anyway, that's going to do it for the MLS portion of this show. And before we get on out of here, we have to give away the Dum Dum of the Week award. And the Dum Dum of the Week award goes to people who do dumb things. And no one is safe from the Dum Dum of the Week award. Anybody can get it. Like, my neighbor could get it. Like a public figure can get it. A team can get it. Anyone can get it. So I've got 2 Dum Dum of the Week awards, because that seems to be the new norm for everybody. So the first Dum Dum of the Week award is basically goes out to someone who basically. Now, I can't really knock this guy too much, because other people were also being. Larry says Giants fans can get it. He's talking about Giants fans can get the Dum Dum of the Week award. Nah, we can't. Nah, they can't. Nah, we won't go that low. But for the first Dum Dum of the Week award, this happened on Saturday, and I got the honor of filming not 1, not 2, but 3 little football games. First, I filmed flag football. Then I filmed Pop Warner the second game, and then I filmed another Pop Warner game when it came to the third game, as I filmed in Tustin, at Tustin High School, and I made me some good money. So for Gita says, "Aw, heck nah." Yeah. You're not getting no Giants fans are getting the Dum Dum of the Week award. But the first Dum Dum of the Week award goes out to someone who did something really, really dumb, and this took place at Tustin High School, where I was filming some Pop Warner football games. In the third Pop Warner football game, it looked as if one team was going to blow out the other. this was between one team from Long Beach and one team from Tustin. And honestly, it looked as if the team from Long Beach was just way better. They were just dominating and beasting. Well, they weren't like dominating. They were up like 12-0, and then on the last, I think their last offensive drive, God bless these kids. These are just kids, by the way. These are 12-year-olds. Like, we can't expect too much from them. I guess the quarterback of the Long Beach team forgot it was 4th down, and he accidentally spiked the ball. And then I'm like, uh-oh. And then the parents were berating the coaches. They were like, what the heck, coaches? What the heck, offensive coordinator? Why are you forcing the kid to spike it on 4th down? It's like, I'm like, well, why are you... I'm just thinking to myself, why are you guys, like, berating the coaches? It's like, it's not all their fault. It's like, these are 12-year-old kids. It's like, they don't know better. And it's hot. It wasn't scorching hot in Tustin, but it was, like, rather hot. And then, it's a quick 2-minute drill. And these kids don't know better. Like, these kids are trying to get points on the board. It's like, you can't expect them to be freaking Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert or Tom Brady. Except Tom Brady kind of forgot it was 4th down. Regardless, the kid accidentally spiked it on 4th down, and it was a learning experience. The Long Beach team led the Tustin team 12-0 at halftime. So that was, I wouldn't say expected, but that's how the game went. And then the second half, the other team started mounting a comeback. The other team was able to tie the game at 12-12. By the way, both these teams missed their extra points. But again, these are 12-year-old kids. They're not freaking Steven Gostkowski. So, anyway, the Tustin team was able to tie the game at 12-12, and the Long Beach fans started getting more annoyed whenever the Long Beach team went 3-and-out or they punted the ball. And they were like, call some better plays, coordinators. And I'm like, oh my God. It's like, why are you all doing this? And then eventually, Tustin scored again off of a safety as Tustin was able to sack the quarterback in the end zone. The ball went over the quarterback's head, and then it eventually went into the end zone for a safety. And then the Tustin team went up 14-12 in the 4th quarter. And eventually the Tustin team wound up winning because they got a late interception. And that was that. Now, the Dum Dum of the Week award does not go to the kids because the team, they're 12-year-old kids, like I said. They're 12-year-old kids. They don't know better. They're still learning the game. So God bless these kids and their learning experience and how they're playing Pop Warner football. But the Dum Dum of the Week award goes to not only the parents for berating the coaching staff of the Long Beach team for their blunder, but for this one fan who, I was leaving the game, and he was right behind me. He's like, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this ish, and I'm tired of this play calling. It's like, bro, first and foremost, why are you taking Pop Warner so seriously? I know everyone has this competitive winning and losing spirit, but it's just Pop Warner. My dude, please don't get angry at the coordinators or the coaches. Like, I don't even know how much Pop Warner coaches get paid. Like, the fact that we're throwing Pop Warner coaches and coordinators under the bus is absolutely disappointing, and I really just don't like it. And Larry says it's Pop Warner. It's like, yeah, this isn't the NFL where it's like, come on now. It's absolutely saddening. And it's like, I don't even know how, and I don't even know if they get paid. Larry says, I didn't know they got paid. Like, I don't even know if they get paid. If they don't get paid, you can't just berate them and say, what the heck, coaches? Why are you running this play? It's like, it's not their fault. It's no one's fault. Like, sometimes things happen. Sometimes teams make halftime adjustments. Like, it's ridiculous that we're going to this point of this part of the world where we're berating Pop Warner coaches for mistakes. It's like they're volunteering for this, and I don't even think they are getting paid a dime. Like, I don't know how much a Pop Warner coach makes, but the fact that we're seeing that, I heard this one fan saying, I'm tired of this ish, I'm tired of the play calling and whatnot. It's like, I think you need help. So to the fan who was basically saying, I'm tired of this play calling and whatnot, you are this week's Dum Dum of the Week award for part 1.
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that is part 1. Now part 2 is a little bit more justifiable. And it's, I wouldn't go as worse to say, but that was just scratching the surface. That right there, that Pop Warner football fan who was basically berating the coaches, that's just part 1. Part 2, on the other hand, is a little bit more dumb, as this one goes out to someone, I wouldn't call him a celebrity figure, but he is looked up as a hero, as this guy went out to dinner with his family. I think he went out to dinner in like Ohio or someplace, or Colorado, and it was just a nice quiet dinner. It was a nice private dinner, no harm, no foul. And then some fans eventually noticed this guy, and they want him to come on over to the bar to like get some pictures and whatnot. Biggest mistake that this celebrity figure made. So the celebrity figure went over to the bar, he saw some fans, and everything was all good in the hood. And then this guy decided to... I can't really... He decided to do something rather silly with someone. First and foremost, he was with this is a happily married man, and the fact that this guy was with someone else is beyond me. Like, we all know who I'm talking about here. Well, I'm talking about Urban Meyer. Like, first and foremost, man, why do you not have a security guard? Like, we all know what Urban Meyer did, and it was really dumb. Like, Urban Meyer's a happily married man, and God bless the guy. Like, he is a great guy, and I love that he is back in the NFL and whatnot. And the fact that this guy, and the fact that Urban Meyer was able to sucker his way over to the bar and get caught with another woman in a picture and doing some other things and doing some rather not so good things is beyond bad. Bad. Like, Urban Meyer, how could you do this? You're supposed to be a family man, and you are getting caught in the act doing silly things. It's not just silly, it's absolutely dumb, dude. It's like, where is your bodyguard? Don't you have, like, someone protecting you? Like, don't you have common sense? You're supposed to be out on a family dinner. You're not supposed to be playing meet and greet with people. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, the fact that you got caught in the act, and the fact that you basically got put all over social media just because you did something really stupid makes me wonder why you would do such a thing, and makes me want to wonder, why do you not have a security guard? Why do you not have a bodyguard? Why do you not have someone protecting you, making you say, no, you cannot? And also, why do you not want the people? Why don't you ask the people to come to you instead of going to the people and leaving your family? I don't get it. Like, Urban Meyer, why are you not using common sense? Why are you not, like, having them come to you? Why are you stooping so low to being someone else's form of entertainment and trying to get yourself in trouble? Like, it makes zero sense, Urban Meyer. And you're supposed to be this coach that everyone looks up to, and you're supposed to be this figure that everyone looks up to, not just off the field, but on the field as well. And you're not only doing yourself a disservice, but you're also doing yourself a disservice for your team, for the fan base in Jacksonville, for everybody. So for you, Mr. Urban Meyer, for all the things that you got caught for when it came to being at the bar and all that other stuff, You are this week's Dum Dum of the Week number 2. You dig?
So dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that, my friends, is all she wrote. Like, come on, man. You gotta be better than that. You're a family man. You're not supposed to be doing other things that's not family-related stuff. You're supposed to be at dinner. That was supposed to be the goal for you. Instead, you decided to veer away like the stray lamb you are, and you eventually found yourself in a pack of wolves, which eventually wound up turning you into a black sheep. I don't know what to say, man. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Later on today, we have the debut of our new Carolina show with John Felipe. It's going to be a super duper fun time. And then later on at 3 p.m. Pacific time, I will be on with my boy Andrew Hagenbaugh to talk about the Browns and the Chargers, as those two will be playing each other, and I'll be talking about Browns-Chargers on the State of Ohio Sports Show. But until then, it's time, ladies and gentlemen, that we get on out of here, because I got to finish getting ready for work, and I got to finish getting ready to prepare myself to debate with Mr. Andrew Hagenbaugh. You dig? Thank you very much for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really, really do appreciate you all tuning in. Shout out to the chat room that tuned in, Andrew Hagenbaugh, Larry B, and Gina G. I really appreciate you all tuning in. If you all tuned in live, I appreciate you. If you all tuned in on Twitter Space, I appreciate you. If you tuned in via the playback, I appreciate you. If you tuned in at any time, any place, anywhere, I really, 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 really do appreciate you. It really means a lot that you tuned in, and hopefully you will be back in the near future. It really means a lot that you support not only this show, but all of IE Sports Radio. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. You all have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy the sports that's going on. Enjoy some MLB playoffs. Enjoy some college football. Enjoy the NFL. And I will see you all Monday for Set Point. You all have a great rest of the day. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!